Now let's take a look at a really intimate relationship between breathing and stress. And this is where we're going to weave and connect some of the things together that we've already spoken about through the previous videos. Now, breathing is controlled by what we call our autonomic nervous system. Autonomic meaning it's automatic. Great for us, because that means we don't actually have to think about breathing if we don't want to in order to stay alive. Other things that are controlled by the autonomic nervous system in the body are things like our organ systems, our digestive system, our stomach, our lungs, stuff like that. We don't have to think about these things in order for these systems to work, which is bloody brilliant for us, because can you imagine the energy that that would require from us mentally and physically for us to actually have to control all those systems ourselves? So kudos to the autonomic nervous system for keeping us alive in that respect. The cool thing here though is, and the difference between breathing and say all the other things like our organ systems that the autonomic nervous system controls, is that we can also have conscious thought over our breathing. So if we want to, we can stop and we can think about our breathing. How are we doing it? What's happening with it? And what can I do to change it? And we can bring something in like a breathing discipline to help us control and calm down different sides of our nervous system. So there's two branches of our autonomic nervous system. The first one is the sympathetic and the second one is the parasympathetic. Now, I'm not going to go into this too deeply because this is going to be explored in much more detail within your stress module. I'm going to break it down a lot more in there to give you a deeper understanding. But if you're unfamiliar with these terms, that's cool. You've probably heard them referred to as this, so as the fight or flight with our sympathetic nervous system, and then our rest and digest for our parasympathetic nervous system. Now, FYI, most people need to pay attention to this because in my experience, and with a couple of years that I've been incorporating, understanding and looking at people's breathing patterns when I take them through a consult, it's actually the first thing I do before I get anybody to do any kind of movement. I will ask them how they breathe. Not one person in that time has ever started their breath with a diaphragmatic breath. Now that tells me one of two things. One, people are very stressed. Two, people don't know how to breathe. Back when we were primal man, obviously, the analogy that's often used here is the saber-toothed tiger. That was the thing that we were concerned about. We had to run for our lives. We need the sympathetic nervous system to turn on in moments when our existence is threatened. It is useful. It has its uses. The problem we have now with modern man is that we have a lot of metaphorical saber-toothed tigers that keep our sympathetic nervous system switched on all the time, and people don't know how to use things like breathing disciplines to help try and calm that side of their central nervous system. The reason why this is so important to understand is because stress has been linked as a root cause to pretty much every disease. When we are constantly turned on in our sympathetic nervous system, so constantly in that fight or flight mode, our stress hormones are really high. Most of you might be familiar with cortisol. That's a stress hormone. The reason why that's a problem is because over time, that system is what we refer to as being catabolic, meaning it breaks the body down. If you are in a state of emergency and a life-threatening situation, you better believe you need that system to turn on, right? So it has its uses. Let's not turn the sympathetic nervous system into the bad guy, because we need it and it's there for a reason. But the issue we have is it stays turned on too often, too frequently in most people, and it's a root cause of a lot of people's dysfunction, disease, sickness and illness in the body. So this is why this is so important to understand. We also have a little bit of a paradox here when we look at this with breathing, because when we are stressed out, that turns us into chest breathers. So when we're stressed, we mouth breathe, we chest breathe, and that jacks up the sympathetic nervous system. There's a physiological reason for that, and that's because if you are genuinely in a life-threatening situation, you go into that sort of oxygen debt, you need quick, sharp, short breaths because you need to get ready to move your body and either fight for your life or leg it. The then sort of paradox we have here is that because a lot of people don't know how to breathe properly, they have like a dysfunctional breathing pattern. They are chest breathing and mouth breathing throughout the day. They're not necessarily stressed, but what happens when we chest breathe is we tell our body, shit, something's coming. We need to get ready to work this out. We need to get ready to fight for our life, or we need to leg it. It turns on the sympathetic nervous system, it jacks that system up, and then we put stress on the body. So this is why breathing is super, super crucial. So let's take a look at a breathing discipline that we could maybe bring into our lives to help us calm our central nervous system when we notice we're in times of stress. I would, before we do that, just quickly like to loop back to what I mentioned before in the previous video about breathing through the nose. And this is why nasal breathing is really important, because we have parasympathetic nerve endings up our nose. So when we breathe through the nose, we stimulate those nerve endings, and that encourages us to calm the sympathetic nervous system down and increase the parasympathetic nervous system, which, remember, is our rest and digest arm of our nervous system. Probably important to mention here that these things don't work independently of each other. So when the sympathetic is on, it doesn't mean the parasympathetic is completely turned off, and vice versa. But what it does mean, when we listen to the names of it, when we're in fight or flight predominantly, then rest and digest doesn't work very well, which is when we start getting things like injury in the body, constant niggles, constant pain, and issues with things like our digestive system. That can show up as many different things like gas, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, issues with breaking down certain foods, intolerances, sensitivities, XYZ, because those systems get down-regulated, okay? So just remember that, because all of this will start to link back into each other. And again, how cool is it to say, oh my goodness, is maybe the way I'm breathing having an impact on the way I'm digesting my food? You're a really cool thing being a human. Yeah? See how it's starting to all weave and connect together? Mind-boggling, isn't it? So anyway, a breathing discipline. Now, box breathing, you guys might be familiar with. It's kind of a common one. We use it here in the gym. I use it with myself. I've used it with clients. It's a really simple, easy one to get started with. I'd encourage you maybe to sit down, sit on the floor, or sit on something really comfortable so you can kind of relax your body as you do this. It's called a box breath because you're basically going to be breathing in the pattern of imagining you're sort of drawing a box as you do it. That's kind of what I visualize in my mind when I'm going through a box breath. And we're going to go with 4 seconds. So you're going to do a 4-second inhale through the nose, because remember, parasympathetic nervous system up here. So in through the nose for 4 seconds, you then hold the breath for 4 seconds, you breathe out for 4 seconds, and then you hold the breath at the bottom for 4 seconds before you breathe in again. And you can repeat this, maybe even just 5 to 10 cycles in a moment where you either just want to pay attention to your breathing, or you'll notice you're getting stressed or anxious and you want to try and calm the body down. You will find just a few cycles of this will be enough to actually help chill you out. It's magical. So let's give that a go. So sit somewhere really nice and comfortably. Now try for 4 seconds. For some people, 4 seconds can be a little bit too long, in which case, if 2 seconds feels comfortable for you, go with 2 seconds and just draw your box with a 2-second breath. Hold and exhale and held. 3 seconds maybe. And for some people, perhaps 4 seconds might seem a bit too short. You can play with the number here, right? It's just really nice, easy way to remember 4 seconds. Let's give it a go. So we're going to breathe in through the nose for a count of 4 seconds. Hold at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause the breath. 1, 2, 3, 4. And repeat. Let's do it once more together. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. Now even me just saying that helps to calm me down. Maybe even just 2 cycles through that, you're already starting to feel your body relax and some ease come back into your body. So I encourage you and I invite you to give box breathing a try. See where in your day you can bring it into a little bit of a practice. Maybe you can set an alarm on your phone to do it at lunchtime when you get a little bit of a break at work. Maybe it's something you want to gift yourself at the start of the day before your day gets going, or as a gift to your body at the end of the day as you're getting ready for bed. You can play with it and just start to pay attention to how wonderful that feels and how amazing the body feels and how much more relaxed your body feels when you practice your box breath.